Hi, hey, hello, and welcome to what will probably be a really depressing episode of a Colts podcast. I'm Brandon, and I'm joined here by your co-host, my best friend, Andrew Moore. It's a wash the hell out of that Jersey episode after an absolute shit display of Colts football. How you feeling today?
Not too great, to be honest with you. I didn't get home from Lucas Oil Stadium until late. That's why we're doing the podcast on Mondays. Probably a good idea we did because to digest the loss and everything. But the Colts had it. The Colts had it right in front of them. It was a must-win game. They got out to a 14-0 lead, and it was theirs for the taking. A statement win to get within one game of the Tennessee Titans. And they completely blew it away, and we're going to get into it all. We're not going to hold back, and I think we're going to be pretty honest today. How are you doing after the loss?
I was not happy. I knew it was coming. You know what? I had a bad feeling in my gut. Even up when we were up 14-0. I knew it was over the second they scored their first touchdown, and I almost tweeted at one point in the game like we are this feels like a game we're going to blow during the third or fourth quarter. I don't remember which, but I mean, so many opportunities to win a football game against a division rival, and just a good old fashioned team effort loss after a great team effort win last week. So I wasn't feeling good. I won a little money. I didn't win a little money. I lost all of the money that I had already won, and one bet won it all back. So I'm just I think I lost $10 overall in the weekend. It's fine.
I'm back on the cold streak betting wise. Didn't win a single bet all week. Well, I take that back. I did win one bet. I got the Notre Dame spread. Other than that, all NFL, all college football, just down the drain. Not a good weekend sports wise.
Yeah, it could have been better. My picks were pretty good for the most part, but let's talk about the football game. That's what the people are here for. Colts lose 31-34. Ironically, same score as the Titans had last week with a game-winning field goal. And I already said it. I would consider this a team loss. Can we blame different people for different points of the game? Absolutely. Did Carson Wentz absolutely crumble when it mattered most? Yes, he did. And he kind of, he did the hero ball thing throughout the week. You wrote your article for the X Factor. He was your X Factor. And I quote tweeted you yesterday, and I said, yep, he sure was. And not in a good way, come to find out.
Not at all. And what really sucks about the whole thing is Carson Wentz actually started out really, really good. I mean, I was very impressed with those first two drives down the field. He was delivering the ball on time. He was hitting the open receiver. Both touchdowns to Michael Pittman Jr. were great balls to start out. And the way the Colts were going, I mean, this looked like a Carson Wentz could have a 350-yard, 4-touchdown game, and the Colts could win running away. That's how confident I felt. And honestly, I when I watched the film today, I rewatched the film, watched every single snap that Carson Wentz took. It wasn't until the fourth quarter where I really started to see him crumble. I mean, yeah, throughout the game, there were some plays here or there. I was like, okay, that wasn't the greatest throw, or he maybe could have made a little bit better decision there. But as far as really looking at the entire game as a whole, it was a pretty good game for Carson Wentz up until that point. And then the fourth quarter came, and it's just like something. The switch flipped to 2020 Carson Wentz. He was missing receivers high. He was holding on to the ball a little bit too long. He wasn't finding the correct receiver. He was forcing things. Yeah. And then I tweeted out. It seemed that when the Colts got the ball with 1:30 left, tie game, back up along their 8-yard line. I may even thought this to myself. This is when a franchise quarterback gets you down the field, gets you in a position to win the game. The Colts didn't even need a touchdown. Just get it into Badgley's kicking range. Badgley was perfect on the day, and he could have made that kick. Colts win 27-24. We're having a completely different conversation. And then just I can't even really describe what happened. I'm still trying to think of the right word. Choke Wentz is what Vonda Young says
Choker
here.
Wentz.
Choker Wentz. I think it's even more than that. The Colts just imploded. And I mean, at the stadium, as soon as that pick six happened, the entire wind just got sucked out of the stadium. I mean, I don't know what you were thinking at home, but kind of what was your thoughts on Carson Wentz up until the fourth quarter?
Well, first I want to address something you said about the first two drives, because I think calling the second one a drive is a little too kind. I mean, we got the ball inside the red zone. You know what I mean?
But hey, there's no guarantee the Colts score a touchdown in the red zone. You know that just as well
I'm
as
aware,
I do.
but you're the second person that I've heard say something about the first two drives, and I'm just like, you mean the first drive and touchdown? Like they're an additional touchdown that was given to us by the defense, by the way, who didn't play great either, but everybody's shitting on them. I mean, they started out well right off the bat, but yeah, you could feel the stadium deflating. And I don't recall feeling a whole, and I'm up on my feet walking around, all worked up. I didn't feel the energy come back in for overtime. I mean, when we won the coin toss, I was excited. That's what we had. We had to have it. It's not very often you get two opportunities, as a quarterback to take your team down and win like that. And I mean, he ruined it both times. What else did you mention?
Well, I was just talking
Carson. Stay on the ball. I've been talking about that all season.
Well, I haven't even gotten to that point. I was just talking about what you thought in the first three quarters, because first three quarters, I thought he played pretty good, serviceable football.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, it could there were times that it could have been better. There were drives that could have been extended. Let's just go ahead and talk about his numbers. 27 for 51, 231 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. There's your problem right off the bat. 51 freaking throws. Why are we in the lead and not controlling the clock, not running the ball, and trying to control the entire football game? That's not, I mean, partially on Carson. Frank Reich, for the first time ever, kind of threw him under the bus today. But overall, first three quarters, yeah, it wasn't bad, but something felt wrong going into the fourth. I knew we were going to lose that football game, and I'm never like that.
See, I didn't typically feel that. I don't know if it's because I was at the game and I wasn't taking in the broadcast, but it felt like the Colts. I was pretty confident heading into the fourth quarter, just because I thought that it was time for the Colts to make a play. See, Darius Leonard would make a play. Carson Wentz and Michael Pittman had it going. But it just seems like once that fourth quarter hit, it seemed like that's when things started to crumble. That's when he started to sail most of his balls. That's when, I mean, obviously the pick six. Let's talk about it. So what happened there? It's a tight end screen. Wentz is supposed to look at Mo Alley Cox, and if it's not there, he's supposed to look at Nyheim Hines. If that's not there, and this is all happening like that. It's instantaneous. Really, It's only a one read play. Nyheim Hines is if he has plenty of time, but if not, then you're supposed to kill that ball, throw it in the dirt. So what happened was they call tight end screen. Mo Alley Cox turns around, and he's supposed to be wide open on that because Harold Landry is supposed to get by him and is rushing towards Wentz, and that's when Wentz dumps it off. Harold Landry drops back in coverage. There is a moment in time where it's open. It's not, I'm not saying the play is open, but it's open to throw it in the dirt and live to fight another down. And for some reason, Wentz doesn't throw it in the dirt. You see him start to do it, and then he tucks the ball back and he starts to turn towards Nyheim Hines, who's laying on the ground because he got hit by a rusher. And then you're in hero ball mode. He puts it in his left hand, tries to throw it, and it's a pick six, completely changes the game. And it was inexcusable. I did not have any words. You see that? That's where the hero ball. That's why when I was so gung-ho and so defensive and so up in arms about last week when people said the hero ball, you have to live with the good and the bad. And I said, no, you don't. Because if you do live with the good and the bad, That's what happens. You get a dumb play like that. You get him trying to throw it with his left hand when 3 defenders are on him instead of killing the play when he had the chance to. That's all on Carson Wentz.
And another situation earlier in the game, Andrew, where he throws tries to pull another shovel pat, and he could have, like you said last week, he could have just pulled it back and delivered the ball like a quarterback. I mean, I don't get it. And this is his, we can call it his second bad game, I would say, but that doesn't change. And that sounds good if you say it that way. But at the end of the day, we're still 3-5 and 1-3 at home. I mean, you've been to 4 home games already, Andrew, and we have won 1 of them. That's inexcusable. And I don't know where who needs to take responsibility starts, but I'm not feeling it in a week-to-week improvement like I feel like we should.
Yeah, and I would agree. And then, I mean, we'll just talking about the other interception. The check down is there and
wide open
from where I was sitting. It's right in front of me because I sit in the end zone. They were in my side of the field. Jonathan Taylor is there. Mo Alley Cox is there. And from the moment they snapped the ball, Wentz was staring down Pittman the entire time.
Triple coverage.
The entire time. He had decided he was going to go to Pittman before the play started. He did not move off that read. That's why Kevin Byard comes blazing down because he was just reading Wentz's eyes the entire time. Pittman had a half a step maybe on the corner that was on him. There was no place to throw that ball where Kevin Byard is running like a rocket straight down, and it's an easy interception. Wentz said he saw the film today and he's kicking himself, but the thing is, and I'm not going to completely put my full assessment on Wentz on one game. That's stupid to think about. This is a bad game. Quarterbacks all the time have bad games. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady threw a pick 6 yesterday.
That did make me feel a little bit better, to be honest. That took some of the sting off, Tom Brady pick 6.
The thing is, with this Colts team as a whole, it's starting to become a trend. The Colts can really beat up on the bad teams, but that's their loss yesterday was their 8th straight loss against playoff teams. 8 straight loss. That's not good. If the Colts want to talk about climbing into the elites, they need to finish games. They need to finish off Baltimore. They need to finish off Tennessee. When you hold Derrick Henry to 68 yards rushing on near 30 carries.
Yeah.
If I would have told you that before the game, you're probably thinking Colts by 1 million. And the thing is, the Colts, they just gave it up. We'll talk about all the sides of the ball. But Carson Wentz, as a franchise quarterback, if he wants to be the long-term solution at the quarterback position for the Indianapolis Colts, he's got to be better than this in crunch time. It's as simple as that. We've seen it time and time again where he started to crumble under the pressure. I don't know if he's just getting too hyped up, if then his instincts take over and he wants to just play hero ball. It can't happen. It really can't happen because we're going to start seeing this over and over again unless he learns to rein it in and really focus and deliver the ball accurately and stay calm in the pocket instead of just staring down his receivers. It was a bad look on Carson Wentz. And a lot of Colts fans were saying that this wasn't on Carson Wentz. It was only on Frank Reich. It's on everybody. It's on Carson Wentz. It's on Frank Reich. It's on the pass defense for the Colts. It's on everybody. Not just Carson Wentz, but you cannot objectively look at that game and say Carson Wentz didn't have a huge part in the Colts losing yesterday.
A massive part. There's no question. It's I don't even know where I was going to go next. So, Jonathan. I mean, that where the check down was available by JT and Mo. Did you see Mo's reaction? He didn't even hold it in. He was pissed. And that's not a way you want to, I guess that's, a natural reaction, but that's not the way you want to look to, have your quarterbacks back, but he's pissed and I don't blame him. Jonathan Taylor is one of the best playmakers in the league. And we didn't get one of those big breakout runs. The closest we had got, pulled back for a terrible holding call. But that play right there, that check down where Jonathan was open and the interception, he's good enough to end up making a play and taking that to the house even. I mean, I'm not saying he would have, but there's definitely an opportunity for a Jonathan Taylor to pull that off. So
I think I watched that. I think I watched that play probably 10 times this afternoon.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor had 15 to 20 yards before the closest defender was there. 15 to 20 yards. I think they were at the Colts. They were at the Colts 27 at that point.
Wentz throws the ball, they break about 5 yards. So he's probably got more like 10 to 15 by the time he catches it.
So even 15 yards, you go from the 27 to the 43. You need 20 more yards, and that's in Badgley's field goal range, and the Colts can very easily win that game. It's a absolute game changer. And I don't want to sit here and act like Carson Wentz is a terrible quarterback, because I think Carson Wentz, for the most part, he has played pretty well this year. I've said it numerous times that he's exceeded.
We're allowed to be pissed off at him this week.
Yeah, he's exceeded my expectations. But I don't want to settle for an average quarterback that I'm happy that's just can lead us to the wins against the easy teams and then falters under pressure again in the big games. The Colts need a franchise quarterback. If they want to be a Super Bowl contender, they can't settle for that. They need a quarterback that is able to deliver in the big time moments.
He needs to win the games he's supposed to, but he needs to change people's opinion on him in the games that people think he can't win.
Correct.
So far, he's not done a lick of that. He's come real close a couple of games. Real close.
This is a 2-year experiment.
Rams game.
Yep.
Rams game was great. And he got hurt in that game. The Ravens game, say what you will about that one. It could have been better, but he had an opportunity.
I don't really put that one on Carson Wentz, because in fact, he did his job. He got the Colts into field goal range twice. Got him into field goal range twice, where he kicks where Hot Rod's field goal is blocked, and then Hot Rod misses a field goal. So I don't put that necessarily on Wentz, but this one, it's on the quarterback's shoulders.
And another man who bears the load, Frank Reich. What in the shit? Okay. And you know what? Andrew, of course, Andrew said that he liked Frank Reich going for it on that 3rd, 4th down of the game. We go for it 2 times in a row. And this is pretty much what Frank Reich said in his press conference, because I listened to that last night. He basically said, well, we got the first 2, so I thought going for a 3rd was a good idea. Why? What you luckily got 2 4th down plays in one drive, so that means go for it on the next one. You're up 14 in a position where you can pin this football team down behind the 10 or the 5. Everybody's like, the defense played great. You know that they got an interception on the first drive. Nobody knows that the defense wouldn't have made a stop with a team backed up all the way into a corner. But now you fail on a 4th down, which gives that other team some momentum. It's a momentum killer for us. You give them a short field against one of the most dangerous offenses in the entire league when you could have pinned them up 14. And they went down and scored. And right when they did, I already said earlier in the show, I was like, oh, well, this isn't over. Not even close. I cannot believe you were down to justify that call.
I was down to justify that call because they got it on the first 2. It wasn't like they lucked into those first 2. They got those first 2 4th downs very convincingly. I mean, they had 2 great plays, and honestly,
they ran the same play. The 2 that they got. Crossing route to Pittman, crossing route to Pittman. I think we threw 3 crossers to Pittman.
I mean, that's a Frank Reich offense for you. So there's gonna be crossers all over the place. And the thing was, I didn't have a problem with it, because not only it would have been a 57, 58 yard field goal. I would rather go for it at that point than try to kick that. And if you punt the ball, I mean, you always say like you could pin him inside the 10. Yeah, Rigoberto Sanchez is a good weapon, but there's also no guarantee of that. There's no
He's a weapon of a punter. Football. No, there's not a guarantee, but you got one of the best directional punters in the game, 2-time special teams winner of the week already this year. I mean, come on. That's his style. He's not and granted, I understand he's got the longest punt in Colts history now. And I think he had a 63-yarder again yesterday, but his game is still directional punting. And you're in a position.
I understand that
punters like him pin other teams.
I understand that, but if it goes into the end zone for a touchback there at the 20, it's really a 20-yard difference. Do you think 20 yards is going to stop the Titans on that one? Absolutely not. The Titans are 20 yards doesn't mean anything to the Titans, especially when AJ Brown is being guarded by Xavier Rhodes, who can't guard
Can you
anybody this year.
Can you acknowledge that there's a shift of momentum when you don't get that fourth down? It's not a whole game-changing shift, but there's a shift.
I think maybe marginal, but the thing is, I mean, if you punt the ball away, it's not like it's going to be that big of a difference either, especially if it gets a touchback. I like Frank Reich being aggressive. I don't want him to be conservative, because when he's conservative,
I couldn't believe he didn't go for the 2-point conversion to win the game.
Because when he's conservative, things like Baltimore happen, where he tries to run it and then it ends up getting a blocked field goal. I don't want Frank Reich to ever be conservative. That I was a strong go for it on that one. Because you're in that gray area where if you punt it away, is it really that worth it? And if you don't get the fourth down, I mean, they're still in their own territory.
Nobody's ever going to convince me that that was a good idea ever.
I mean,
I am line drawn in the sand on that one.
Do you really think with this Colts pass defense and how terrible it has been this year, 20 yards is really going to make that big of a difference? Even 30 yards.
I do. And when you're backed up against the goal line like that, I do think that makes a difference. The Colts your defense just did their job.
Okay. Well, the Colts offense just picked up 2 fourth downs. We can play that same game.
No.
The Colts offense.
What else do you have to say about Colts? What else do you have to say about Frank's play calling?
I mean, I do agree that it wasn't great, especially when it came down to the fourth quarter. The tight end screen, why are you throwing a screen pass when you're backed up to your own goal line? That's where I would have liked to see. And there's a minute 30 left. The Colts have 3 timeouts. Give it to Jonathan Taylor and get some extra room. Or do a quick 3-step drop and then do a slant. But why are you allowing free rushers when you're back so far? Screenplays allow free rushers.
Yeah.
What in the hell are you thinking there? That's Frank Reich trying to overthink himself. That's him getting too cute, and that's what I hate to see. If he goes for it on fourth down and it's a good play call, the players don't execute, fine. It's whatever. That's on the players. But when it's on you that calls that screenplay and you're trying to break one open, at that point, it's a tie ball game. You're just trying to get some room so you can operate and go down and try to get into scoring position. Hated that Jonathan Taylor in the fourth quarter in overtime, he only touched the ball once. And I think Jonathan Taylor as a whole, he had 16 carries on the game. Jonathan Taylor, I mean, first play of the game, screen pass to Jonathan Taylor, he takes it for 30 yards or something like that. Jonathan Taylor needs to be more involved. He's the best positional player on this offense. Michael Pittman Jr. is ascending, but Jonathan Taylor is still the number one go-to guy on this offense. Jonathan Taylor, and this is happening over and over again. Jonathan Taylor is not receiving the ball enough in the fourth quarter or in drives. And I mean, I heard some of the things after the game. Some of the reasoning for that was there were a couple RPOs that were taken away that ended up being passes. And honestly, I don't have a problem with that because the Colts RPO game has been one of their strengths this year. So I fully I trust Carson Wentz to make the right play on that because honestly, he's shown that he can. And also, I mean, there were 2 to 3 big runs by Jonathan Taylor that got called back, I should say, by dumb penalties or holding penalties. By the way, that Jeffers crew yesterday, just absolutely egregious. I don't want to really talk about the officials too much, but he's one of the worst officiating crews in the entire NFL. Anyways, Jonathan Taylor should still be made a priority, especially in the fourth quarter. That's when you see the Tennessee Titans really lean on Derrick Henry. It's because he wears teams down. Jonathan Taylor wears teams down as well. He needs to get those in. He needs to get those in, and the Colts need to make it a more part of their offense. Wentz season's asking or says, give Taylor fixed runs, take some of the RPO away. I mean, it depends. It depends what the defense is giving. Because I'm not gonna, if there's gonna be a 9-man box, I'm not gonna be stubborn and just say run the ball with Jonathan Taylor. That's stupid. That's a good way for the fans to get on Frank Reich and said, why are we running the ball? A lot of times the Titans were loading up the box and those RPOs, it gives more different options. I don't think you should take away some of the RPOs per se, but I think more situational football, it needs to be looked at as far as making Jonathan Taylor more of a priority.
16 for 70 yards, 4.4 a carry. And it would have been higher without the 1 yard touchdown carry. That's fair. I mean, like you said, he's the best positional player on our offense. Michael Pittman Jr. is a budding star for sure, and he had a phenomenal game. The yards weren't there like they have been, just quite like they were like last week.
But the volume was tremendous.
The volume.
I mean,
absolutely incredible.
15 targets, 10 catches, 86 yards. He doubled his career touchdowns in one game. And honestly, the Colts don't even have a chance to win unless if Michael Pittman doesn't make that absurd Hail Mary catch at the middle of the field.
Yeah, that catch was incredible.
He incredible. Just skied up above everybody and just took the ball. It's like, give me that. I mean, we're talking, I think if we want to take something good away from this season so far, in a season that's had a lot of bad, Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr., their emergence and taking their game to the next level, showing that we have a franchise running back and a wide receiver one. I think that's something good that Colts fans can feel really good about going ahead into the future, because these two are stars. They really are.
Yeah, I agree. Defense. The middle two quarters is where I feel like they really hurt us. They finally, in the fourth quarter, did make a couple stops when they really, really had to. They gave the offense a chance to win the game. But, I mean, we can go ahead and shit on Xavier Rhodes right off the bat if we'd like. Just another example, and you said you don't even see him really swiping at the ball or, it's calling it a half-ass attempt. That's still what I saw, was that left arm take a swing. There's no effort to make a tackle. There's he's on the sideline. You can knock a guy. I don't understand why it's so hard to knock a guy out of bounds in that situation even. I don't even care if you make the tackle. Just do one of these shitty lower your shoulder, don't even try to wrap a guy up moves, and at least knock him out of bounds. I know A.J. Brown's big. I know he's strong. And what did I tell you was going to happen? I told you he was going to eat us alive, and I was 100% right.
It's pretty crazy to look at how this Colts defense is and how good they are against the run. And it's the complete opposite against the pass. You see every single week, and this is what bugs me, is when something is continuing to happen and there's no change in the game plan, in the coverages. That's, in my opinion, that's Matt Eberflus being very stubborn. I know he has his philosophies and I know he wants to stick to his guns, but at the same time, this is becoming a legitimate problem and it's not getting fixed. And if it's not going to get fixed, then something else needs to happen, or there needs to be different people in charge of that defensive unit.
He went from a guy last year that was getting interviewed for head coaching jobs seriously and probably deserved one, to a guy that I don't even think he'll get a single interview this year. Not a single one.
I think if this keeps up, he's going to be on the hot seat, and he might not even be the defensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts next year. Matt, there's the soft coverages. It's the Colts could not get off the field on third down, and it's because there wasn't any pass rush again. There wasn't any pressure on the corner, on the wide receivers. On that third down in overtime, I watched that today, and I just want to see what you would want to see aggressiveness out of the cornerbacks and really fighting for the ball. And this was against Kenny Moore too. It's third down. It's third and almost 10. A.J. Brown gets a free release off the line of scrimmage. He just runs a simple slant route inside. And Ryan Tannehill throws it to him like he's running against air. Kenny Moore is a step behind him because he didn't get his hands on him at all. He looks like he's flat-footed. And why are the Colts playing so soft coverage when it's overtime on a third down? At that point, who cares if you get beat? Because even if
like every third down on the last Titans drive is literally, like, you started talking about the blitzes right as Brandon Stuthers said it too.
Well, I'm not even talking about the blitzes. I'm talking about the cornerback play. The cornerback play was atrocious. I mean, Rock Ya-Sin had a couple good plays, but then he also gave up a touchdown. Kenny Moore was great at tackling, but like I said, he gave up numerous completions. I mean, Xavier Rhodes, at this point, I wouldn't be upset if you got cut and we put Isaiah Rodgers in the game. That's how strongly I feel about that. It's very frustrating to watch. And then I honestly kind of put some of this on Chris Ballard as well, because Chris Ballard wanted this scheme. He wanted this type of defense. And while he's put a lot of draft capital in these pass rushers, there's no pass rush. And I'm not talking about Kwity Paye and Dio Odangbo, who made his debut this weekend. I'm not talking about those guys. Those guys are still developing. But when you have guys that are in year 4 and up, I mean, Kamoko Toure, he had a sack yesterday, but as far as his pressure rate, not really existence there. Tyquan Lewis, hate to see him go down with a knee injury. Tyquan Lewis is more of a backup rotational guy. He was a second-round pick. Al-Qadim Muhammad, if Al-Qadim Muhammad is your best pass rusher, which he has been pretty much for the Colts this year, you're in trouble. Ben Banigou can't sniff the field. He was a healthy scratch. That's 3 guys that you've put in second-round picks for. And you haven't been able to produce even as starters on your team. That's on Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard has thrown so much draft capital at this position, and not a single one of them has hit yet. That has to change. That's just bad.
Yeah. The lack of pass rush killed us. I don't understand. Why Kwity can't find home. I hope Odangbo. How many snaps did he actually get?
I think it was only like 16. It wasn't much, and I didn't expect much because they're going to work him in slowly. The kid's coming off an Achilles injury.
Yep.
So, but Kwity Paye had 58 sacks and had 1 tackle. Definitely not the best performance by Kwity Paye.
No, not at all. All right, where are we at here? 30 minutes in, we're still.
We're always on the Colts 30 minutes in.
Colts contain Derrick Henry, 28 carries for 68 yards, 2.4. I think he hurt himself early in the game. I mentioned how he was on the sideline walking without a shoe on. He was getting looked at. He still ended up finishing the game, but looks like he's out indefinitely. This Adrian Peterson pickup, interesting. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's if, like you said earlier, if I told you the Colts held Derrick Henry 68 yards, you'd say we won.
Absolutely. And the thing is, well, Derrick Henry might have been hurt. It at that point, it wasn't enough for him to stay out of the game. Otherwise, they would have, because
he still kept running the ball.
He ran it almost 30 times, and the Colts kept him to 68 yards. That's Grover Stewart. I mean, Grover Stewart probably had one of his best games as a pro yesterday, constantly blowing up the middle of that Titans offensive line, constantly hitting Derrick Henry in the backfield. Kenny Moore made some great tackles on Derrick Henry. DeForest Buckner was back there. I think DeForest Buckner had a pretty decent game as far as stopping Derrick Henry. Yeah. He had a sack of Ryan Tannehill. It's just, and it really sucks, because you have a great performance against Derrick Henry. You did what you're supposed to do. Honestly, teams want, if they would take the lesser of two evils, they're going to take Ryan Tannehill and the passing offense of the Titans versus letting Derrick Henry go off. And that's where it gets back to the point where the Colts had every opportunity to win this game yesterday, and they let it slip through their fingers. And now, not only is the division crown not going to be attainable, because the Titans have to win 4 games, and then all they have to do is win 4 games, basically, and they have the division locked up. They play the Texans twice. They play Jacksonville, 49ers, play the Dolphins. There's going to be 4 wins within there, whether Derrick Henry's playing or not. And the Colts might not even make the playoffs at this point. I
don't think we will.
It's getting to that point where the Colts can beat bad teams, but they can't do anything against the good teams. And the Colts play Buffalo. They play Tampa Bay, Arizona, Las Vegas. All of those teams it's going to be tough for the Indianapolis Colts to beat at this point. And it's really a shame, because the Colts are talented enough that they should be in that conversation, and they've been beating themselves consistently all year.
Where do the Colts go from here, Andrew? Now what? You still got to think about it? Because I can go.
You can go. I'll end the Colts segment this week.
I think we need to start letting some of our young guys play some more football. Mike Strawn, I think he's going to end up maybe in some more. Is Patman back yet?
Patman, they have to make a decision on him this week.
Okay, Patman. I think we need to maybe do some. We still have time till the trade deadline, right? Until what, tomorrow? Next Thursday?
Tomorrow at 4 p.m.
I don't know what we could do, but maybe do something there. But mostly I want to see Mike Strawn. I want to see Patman.
Real quick, this is an all-time chat on a Colts podcast. So Brandon Stuthers, welcome. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for watching. He says, I will run 10 laps around my house naked if we beat the Bucks and Bills back to back. I'm holding you to that, Brandon.
Okay.
Brandon to it.
Yep. Most certainly going to hold this man to that. And it has to be posted on TikTok.
And then he says painted blue, of course. So he's going to paint his entire body blue. This man, I like this guy. This guy's got some buns on him. No pun intended.
So I still I want to see the young guys play more. Strawn, Patman, and Granson. Granson got an opportunity to get in yesterday, didn't quite do it, but I mean, you got these guys for a damn reason. The offensive line's back. Everybody's raving over, Kylan Granson to start, during training camp. So let's see what the guys got. Can we use these weapons that we went and got? I'm not giving up. By the way, chat here, I see, I'm not giving up. I just think we drafted some young weapons. Let's see what they can do. I need something different. Nothing's changing about this football team. So
where do the Colts go from here? This team's not going to stop fighting. They're too passionate. They're too close of a group. Their character is too good in this locker room. They're not going to stop fighting. They're not going to stop fighting for their teammates, for their coaches. So you're going to see the Colts fight it to the very end. But I do want to, in the last half of the season, because we're basically at the halfway point now, I do need to see some changes. I need to, starting on the defensive side of the ball, there needs to be a more consistent pass defense, whether it's pass rush or against wide receivers, instead of giving up these non-contested catches over and over again. If that doesn't change, and especially against the good teams. Now, I'm not saying, I have to lock down and turn into like the 85 Bears, but it needs to improve. If not, I think Matt Eberflus is on the hot seat. I also agree with you that we need to start seeing the young guys get some more playing time. Hopefully Kwity Paye can start to break out here in the second half of the season, and hopefully he can stay healthy. Dio Dangbo, we'll start seeing him come on more. Maybe Mike Strawn gets some more playing time. T.Y. Hilton, maybe he'll stay healthy. He's not a young guy, but I just have to
if all Carson Wentz can do is throw the ball down the field, why not put Mike Strawn and Kylan Granson in there for two more guys that can go up and get it? I mean, my God, the only thing I feel like Carson's doing right now is he can, unless he's backed up against the goal line, he can throw screens sometimes, and he can throw the ball all the way down the field and hope somebody catches it or we get a pass interference. His face, by the way, I don't know if they showed it in the stadium, but that one pass interference call, Carson Wentz's he did a little shrug and smile like, meh. It was very funny. We laughed a lot.
So that kind of brings me to my final point. Carson Wentz. If you're still on the train that the Colts are going to sit Carson Wentz, at this point, I still don't see it. That's not going to happen. What I want to see out of Carson Wentz, though, is we've seen the good and the bad so far this year. As we end 2021 and the second half, we need to see more good. You just talked about it. The offensive line is fully healthy. I think Chris Reed has supplanted Mark Glowinski as that starting right guard, and Chris Reed's played very well. So I think we even just got an upgrade at right guard. The offensive line is fully healthy. Michael Pittman Jr. has come on, and he's a legit number one wide receiver. If Mike Strawn can get out there, if T.Y. Hilton can stay healthy, they got the weapons around him. We need Carson Wentz to win some big football games. I'm not saying he needs to do it alone because, again, you have Jonathan Taylor out there. Jonathan Taylor needs to be used more in those situations as well.
Frank Reich needs to win some big football games.
Frank Reich, I think, needs to take a hard look at himself. And we see this all the time where he says, well, I'd like to have a couple plays back here and there.
I'm sick of it.
And that's okay, but it's not okay when things don't change. There needs to be things that change, and you need to stop putting all of your eggs into your new shiny quarterback and start leaning more heavily on your budding star running back.
He did not like the question about any chance Marcus Brady could take over play calling. Did not like that.
Your personal best friend, Mike Wells, asked that question today. So
yep. I almost did it. Mike Wells is a piece of garbage.
But anyways,
let's get him on the show.
I mean, I know the listeners are probably thinking this is a very negative episode. Brandon and I still have faith.
It is.
I do think the Colts, they have the building blocks there. They're not far away. But the thing is, the difference between being a non-playoff team and a good playoff and a good solid playoff team, the margin's very small. So you can be very close to either one of those. The difference is the Colts are beating themselves, and good playoff teams don't beat themselves.
Nope.
And that's what's got to change.
Beat ourselves in the playoffs last year. Injuries. Defensive end Tyquan Lewis.
You got Colts player of the game up there, bud.
Yeah. The injuries. Nobody. You get it. Just going down the list. I didn't have it in the right order. All right. Tyquan Lewis, pellar tendon in the knee, out for the season. Wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, concussion, out Thursday night versus the Jets. Safety Kari Willis, calf knee, being evaluated. That sucks because our backup safety's not great.
Yeah, so honestly, I feel bad for Tyquan Lewis. The man gets his first interception. We didn't really even talk about it, but he gets his first career interception, and you could tell while he was running, that's when his knee blew out, and that's what caused the fumble, just because he probably had intense pain in his knee, not really paying attention to the football, and it's a huge play that ends up contributing to the loss of the game for the Indianapolis Colts. Hate it for Tyquan Lewis.
I understand how hard it is to go against your instincts to run with the football. And it was even my instinct to say, go, 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 go. But at the end of the day, I know that defensive lineman coaches are saying, if you get the football, you go down. If you get the football, you go down. That's what you're coached to do. And I don't want to say, he did it to himself, but maybe if he just goes down right away, his season's not over. Roster moves, reactivated defensive end Dio Dangbo from the NFI list. NFI? Yeah.
NFI.
Activated linebacker Jordan Glasgow from IR. Elevated running back Deion Jackson and safety Josh Jones to the active roster from the practice squad. Here's the interesting one. Released quarterback, well, one of two. Released quarterback Brett Hundley from the active roster and signed to the practice squad.
So I think the move officially makes Sam Ehlinger as the backup quarterback. So that experience that Frank Reich was talking about of having Brett Hundley as the backup quarterback, that lasted all of about 3 or 4 games. So now he's on the practice squad as the emergency third QB.
Who knows? Maybe they will bench Wentz later in the season to give Sam Ehlinger a shot to take the job. I don't know.
God, wouldn't that be a story?
Yeah, we'll talk about it if it happens, right? Waived running back Jordan Wilkins and defensive tackle Khalil Davis. This Jordan Wilkins thing is interesting. After all those weeks out with an undisclosed illness, and now we let him go.
Yeah, and the Colts haven't said anything. Jordan Wilkins' side hasn't said anything about it.
I'd be willing to bet Marlon Mack ain't going anywhere for sure now.
Marlon Mack is not going anywhere. And I think that's why this move was made. That kind of signified that Marlon Mack wasn't going anywhere. So it is interesting to see. And I hope Jordan Wilkins does get picked up by a team, because I think he can be a legitimate number 2 back, or even like a 1-on-1 guy in a combined backfield. So Jordan Wilkins is always a great player for the Colts. A great change of pace back. Well, Rams just made their own move today. So
what did the Rams do today? What did I miss? Are we going to talk? We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it.
I missed it. I saw our boys. I saw the Rams podcast from our old group here say something about it, but I had no idea what they're talking about because I work all day and don't look at my phone anymore while I work. So
you'll get a kick out of it. I'm sure it's a big one.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to read it. All right, let's move along. You boys got to eat. Oh no, that's at the end of the show. See, I don't even know when things are. Week 8 scores. Packers beat the Cardinals. I was so mad at you. I was so mad at you for talking me out of picking the Packers. I was pissed. I almost changed it back when I saw JJ was definitely out. And then I just kind of forgot.
I mean,
that was a great football game. It was electric. I stayed up for that whole game.
Aaron Rodgers, man. Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, just that Packers offense didn't skip a beat. And even Bob Tonyan went out with an injury, which we'll talk about. But I mean, what can you say? That's the difference between a playoff team and a non-playoff team right there, is they can withstand the injuries. And having one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time in Aaron Rodgers on your team certainly doesn't help either.
And that
doesn't hurt, I should say.
Lack of turning around or doing a thing from AJ Green.
Man,
the memes have been incredible.
Well,
Panthers,
the memes with Aaron Rodgers' face mask covering his nose has been incredible.
I saw somebody do it for Halloween, bro.
Yeah.
They turned it around in 2 days.
That's awesome.
It's incredible. The Falcons did it to you, man. Panthers 19, Falcons 13. They got us both.
So the Falcons kind of went like, here, we'll give you a win. We'll lure you in, and then we're just going to crush your dreams. And that's exactly what they did. Tough. I hate the Falcons.
Bills 26, Dolphins 11. That started out real close. But Josh Allen did me a favor and got at least two touchdown passes. I think he ended up with a third. That was the start of a little parlay hitting for me.
That was definitely a lot closer than I thought. I thought the Bills were going to win probably like 40 to 10 or 40 to 7, something like that. So, but hey, as long as your parlay hit, I'm happy for you, brother.
Thanks. 49ers beat the Bears. Literally saw someone say Justin Fields breakout game. He had 100 rushing yards and 200 passing yards or something. Good for him. He still lost.
Good for him.
There's no such thing as a breakout game if you lose, period, the end. And that's just how it is.
There's no moral victories around here.
Not in the NFL, there's not. Steelers 15, Browns 10. That game was stinker. This next one. Eagles 44, Lions 6. Does Nick Sirianni have a better record than the Colts?
The Colts and Eagles are tied at 3-5 right now. Man.
I miss Nick Sirianni.
That's a tough one to swallow. I know what? I'm giving up on the Lions. I'm officially out on the Lions. I've been trying my hardest. Like Dan Campbell and the Lions are going to get a win. They're going to get a win. And then they absolutely get the crap beat out of them by the Eagles. I'm out. I'm out on the Lions.
Yep. The Jets beat the Bengals 34-31. We got to play them. They just beat the best team in the AFC, number one ranked team in the AFC, and they've beaten the Titans. So with a backup quarterback, by the way. So I don't think we have an easy game ahead of us Thursday night.
Isn't his name like Matt Smith? I think I called him Mike White last week in the show. But anyways, Matt Smith.
No, it's Mike White.
Mike White. Was it Matt White?
It's Mike White, because he has the same name as my dad.
Okay, Mike White. Phenomenal football player, I guess. So quarterback controversy in New York between Zach Wilson and Mike White. You get it.
Nope. It'll be kind of one of the Heineke things, I think.
Are you disappointed that the Colts aren't going to play against Joe Flacco on Thursday night?
I'm absolutely disappointed. I'm so sad. I was really looking forward to see old Joe on the field. Rams 38, Texans 22. Real quick. Texans scored 22 in half a second. I literally blinked and the Texans had 22 points.
Must have been Sean McVay not even trying anymore. Taking out all the starters.
Matt Ryan, they did take out the starters in the third quarter.
Oh, there you go. Look at this stat here real quick. So Matt says first 400-yard passing game by the Jets in 330 games. That's absurd. Hilarious. That's absurd. Man, it would suck to be a Jets fan. That's
hilarious. Okay. Patriots 27, Chargers 24. That was a good football game. Patriots defense, man. Bill Belichick it's never going to end. It's never going to end. He's always going to be able to coach a defense.
That's another opponent the Colts have to face in late December in Lucas Oil. The Patriots coming to town. So the Colts schedule is not looking great.
Seahawks 31, Jaguars 7. We called that one pretty handily.
Yep.
Broncos 17, Washington 10. Don't care. Saints with a backup quarterback 36-27 over the Bucks. That was awesome.
Good old Trevor Siemian leading the Saints to a win over the Bucks. After the game, Jameis Winston, who's completely blew out his knees, dancing in the locker room on his crutches. I mean,
hilarious.
You love Jameis Winston. Poor guy.
And Cowboys 20, Vikings 16 without Dak.
Did you watch that game at all?
Yeah, some, and I told you.
Cooper Rush with a dime to Amari Cooper in the back corner of the end zone to win the game. Cooper Rush looked like a very good backup quarterback last night. I was surprised that the Vikings couldn't do more against against a Dakless Cowboys. Man, the Vikings did not look good either.
I'm trying not to read the news for the Rams until I get to it. All right. News around the league. Titans running back Derrick Henry suffers foot injury against the Colts Sunday and will have surgery on Tuesday, out 6 to 10 weeks. Titans sign running back Adrian Peterson. I think that's hilarious.
So it's a Jones.
And I'm all for it.
It's a Jones fracture for Derrick Henry. So usually the early timeline is 6 weeks. So, oh my gosh.
Cooper Rush looks like a paid actor for Carson Wentz, like a stunt double. That's hilarious.
That's a great comment by Matt. But yeah, man. I mean, you hate it for Derrick Henry just because he's an absolute animal. But at the same time, I don't know if it was really the workload up to him or if it was just a freak thing. But yeah, Adrian Peterson on the Titans is very interesting. I don't know if he'll have the same success that Derrick Henry does, just because it's not like Derrick Henry's running behind a fantastic offensive line or anything. So we'll see. And Peterson hasn't played in a while, so it's going to be interesting to see if they really put all the onus on Ryan Tannehill, or are they still going to be a run-heavy offense. We'll see.
I'm telling you, the Tennessee Titans are going to win football games without Derrick Henry because Ryan Tannehill is good, whether we like it or not. The bootleg game is out of this world. AJ Brown, I'm sorry, and Julio. They're going to win football games. Cardinals defensive end JJ Watt has season-ending shoulder surgery this week. There's not a shoulder surgery that exists that he's not getting this week. He literally has less healthy parts of his shoulder right now than he does broken ones.
He had, I think, a dislocated shoulder, a torn labrum, and a torn bicep. Something
rotator
absurd.
Cuff too, right? I mean, it was all of it. It was all of it.
Just and didn't he keep playing, or did they take him out of the game right after it happened? I'm not exactly sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if JJ Watt
the game.
No,
he finished the game. That was last week. That was last week's game, though, not Thursday.
What an absurd
Packers.
Animal.
Tight end Robert Tonyan suffers a torn ACL in the game versus the Cardinals, out for the season. That sucks.
Here it is. Go on.
We don't. Saints quarterback Jameis Winston suffered a torn ACL and damage to his MCL and is out for the season. Did you see his knee?
I did not. I was driving home from the game.
Ugly. Look up the replay of that, and oh my God. Broncos trade linebacker Von Miller to the Rams for a 2022 second round pick and 2022 third round pick. They're going to win the Super Bowl. It's over.
They're
the Super Bowl
all
champs.
In. Yeah. Absolutely all in on this. So you think about this defense. The Rams defense has Aaron Donald. They have Jalen Ramsey. They now have Von Miller, Leonard Floyd. It just keeps going on and on and on. It's absurd. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Matty Stafford, Cooper Kupp,
who, by the way, might just be the best receiver of all time.
Man, Cooper Kupp is blowing it up.
He's destroying records.
And with 17 games, I mean, he could get 2,000 yards. It's not
very well.
It's not out of the question that Cooper Kupp ends the year with 2,000 receiving yards, which is wild.
Former Raiders head coach John Gruden to possibly file a lawsuit against the NFL, Roger Goodell, regarding the leak of his emails.
Yeah. I don't think this story is going away anytime soon.
Oh, it's incredible. I'm not participating in Colts player of the game, so.
You don't on a loss, but Colts player of the game, let's give it to the guy I gave it to last week, Michael Pittman Jr. I mean, 10 catches, 86 yards,
injury of the Broncos.
2 touchdowns. What injury of the Broncos? You're interrupting Colts player of the game.
I don't give a shit. Well, that's what Damon does. Damon ruins things. But I don't know what injury he's talking about. What injury is he talking about?
The only injury I know of the Broncos is Jerry Jeudy came back from IR last week, but
oh well.
Pitt. I don't know. Anyways, Michael Pittman Jr. is the Colts player of the game, and we're just continuing to see it. We're seeing him really elevate to that wide receiver number 1. And even with T.Y. Hilton on the field yesterday, Michael Pittman Jr. was the one that was receiving all the targets. So I think he's fully established himself now. We've seen the torch passed from T.Y. Hilton to Michael Pittman Jr. That's my Colts player of the game.
Yeah, no participation trophies for me. So, I mean, go follow us, I guess, if you want on the things at a Colts podcast. You can see me absolutely give in to the trolls or the dumb people. I was really, guys. I mean, I'm telling you, I was talk shit to people on Twitter mad last night. Even a listener of the show. So apologies, I guess, but don't say stupid shit, I guess, and I won't comment back. But yeah, I suppose that's it. We'll be back Wednesday. Another game real soon against the old Jets.
Get the bad taste out of our mouth, and hopefully get a victory on Thursday night. Go Colts.
Let this moment become a cherished memory. And then remember, a legacy is only worthwhile when there is a future to fuel. God bless you, and God bless football.